Hello, I'm John Rossi, a touring drummer with a love of all things animal. When I'm on the road, I visit as many zoos, aquariums... Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Hello? Hello? We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you Rossifari Zoo news. News you can use from the world of zoos and conservation. Every week, we bring you breaking news and analysis from around the globe, featuring the animals you love and the people who care for them. And here's your anchorman, John Rossi.
Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to Rossifari Zoo News, your look at everything going on in the world of zoos, aquariums, conservation, and general animal weirdness. For those of you that are new here, this is a crowdsourced zoo news program, so make sure you're following along on the socials at Rossifari, and if you see me in any zoo newsworthy stories, go ahead and tag me in them or email them to me, rossifaripod@gmail.com, and if I use your story or not, I'll still say your name at the end of the episode when I'm giving thanks, so that's exciting for you, I guess. And actually, while we're talking podcastal stuff, we have a new Red Panda level patron to announce this week, and it's a patron with a twist. You know, I love my patrons. I love all of my patrons. And I might love this one most of all. I'm not going to lie, because unlike all the rest of my patrons, this one is a cat. That's right. Cormac McMuffin is officially now a patron of the Rossifari podcast at the Red Panda level. And that means that Cormac will be getting a special patron exclusive sticker every month and also have access to other cool stuff by going to patreon.com/Rossifari. So you too can support the pod like our new catron, Cormac McMuffin. So, Cormac, thank you so much for being part of the team, both for you and you're human. And then, so moving on from that, what a week we have had here with Rossifari, y'all. So I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that all of y'all listened to the Tuesday episode. But if you didn't, or if you have a really terrible memory, we got to announce a brand new baby red panda cub, not that there's any other kind of red panda cub, that is at the Smithsonian's National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute. And we did so in an interview with keeper Jessica Cordell, which is just somebody I love. And I'm just so excited that she was on the pod and that we got to actually share that announcement. And then not only did we get to share the birth of a red panda with the world, but as if that isn't cool enough, we got mentioned in the Washington Post for it. And I was actually told that the reason the Post ran a story on the panda cub is because of the podcast collaboration and because they got to hear the story on the podcast. So, Rossifari in the Washington Post was was a highlight for my brain. And so just what an awesome time, what an awesome experience to be collaborating with the Smithsonian in that way, right? Just stuff that I never thought would ever happen is happening, and it's such a joy. And then the day after that all went down, there was an Instagram takeover by the one, the only Danny Larson at Southwick Zoo. And she took us all behind the scenes of her day when she's doing a bird show and stuff. So we got to see all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. And the thing is, like, yes, we all love Danny. And yes, we all know Danny. And but seeing it is so different than just hearing it. And one of the things that I loved so much is that, you know, we preach transparency on this podcast all this time. And on a facility level, we get a lot of that. But sometimes on a personal level, it's harder to do that. It's harder to show your humanity when you're doing your job and when you're an expert at something. But Danny doesn't struggle with that. And so, you know, along with all the awesome stuff that we got to see, we also got to see her make mistakes, just little things, forgetting things and having to go back and get them, or throwing a rat to an owl and missing by a country mile, and just stuff like that. And things that, you know, a lot of people would cut from their own socials, or especially from, something that's going to be seen by so many people. And Danny instead was very transparent and honest about all of that. And that is yet another reason why we all love Danny so much. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. We're going to try and do more stuff like that in the future. And I think we need to keep finding new and creative ways to get Danny involved in the podcast, because the response was overwhelming. And so many of y'all just love it when we are, both doing the Rossifari thing. So yeah, hopefully that works out. And then last but not least, just a quick update on me. I am in central Pennsylvania doing a Neil Diamond tribute show at Totem Pole Playhouse. And I would tell you to come and see it if you're in the area, but it's sold out. So you missed it. Sorry. But I'm actually a ridiculously large Neil Diamond fan and have been for a long time. I saw Neil in concert 4 times, and it's exciting to be bringing his music to life and getting to play it for audiences. So that's been a real joy, and I think it's kind of funny that I just love music that someone my age shouldn't, Carl Perkins, Elvis Presley, Neil Diamond, and I get to play all this stuff professionally. And I look at the audiences that come and see it, and they're all, generations older than me. But it's all the stuff that I love, and that's really cool. All right. So with all of that said, I know it was a lot of stuff. I kind of tried to rush through it because I've got a lot of other things to talk about this week. So yeah, we'll get to it now. So we are going to start with a quick headline story, and it is, quite frankly, the headline story of all the headline stories that have ever been headline stories, I think. And no, it has nothing to do with animals except for human animals, but that is that Taylor Swift is officially engaged to Travis Kelce. And I'm not kidding. I'm actually going to riff on this for a minute. It won't be a long one, I promise. But the truth is, this is a headline that has been seen everywhere. I think it's the thing that I have seen the most online since it happened a couple days ago. And I will do a brief tie-in to zoos, which is that so many zoos and aquariums have done posts about it, trying to play off of it, either taking the picture of the proposal and dropping it into a picture of their facility, acting like, the proposal happened at their facility, obviously jokingly, not literally. Other places have just done other jokes. Aquarium of Niagara had a cute one about husbandry, stuff like that. But yeah, it's just become the biggest topic of the week. And I see people losing their minds online about it and getting pissed off and mad. And I think that talks to something that we talk about on this podcast so much that I felt the desire to talk about it, to riff about it briefly on here, because this is relevant to the stuff I always talk about when it comes to the internet. And oftentimes that stuff affects zoos and aquariums. We talk about that a lot, but it affects people too. 2 people who, by all accounts, are wonderfully in love, got engaged. And the fact that so many people are mad about it or angry about it, or those mean the same thing, John. See, this is why I riff. Anyway, the fact that people are genuinely upset about it, or are upset about other people being excited about it, says so much to me about what our current culture is and where people are right now, that it's really sad to me. Yes, a lot of people have made their entire identity listening to Taylor Swift and talking about Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. And you know what? Man, that's cool. For the record, I would not call myself a Swiftie. I enjoy some of her music. I don't enjoy all of it. I think 1989 is an incredible album, and I'm actually wildly excited about the new album she announced because rumor has it that it will go more in that kind of direction. But whether you love her music, hate her music, whatever, the fact that people need an escape like that right now and need a celebrity to cling to and joyously follow, it makes sense. We have a history of this. Rock and roll started to be developed right after World War II. And there was all kinds of stuff going on in the country. If you really want to go back, bebop was basically a direct response to the Great Depression. And it was only a few months after President Kennedy was assassinated that the Beatles broke in America. And, I think they would have gone on to be huge either way. But I think the reason that Beatlemania was what it was that people needed a release. And look, I don't shy away from my political views on here. But even if you think everything going on in our country right now politically is great, and, I disagree, that's fine. But there's so much going on with school shootings and with the constant just amount of work and pressure and the economy and inflation and all these things that, like, whatever you think of our current presidential situation, you can easily argue that our country is in a time of crisis. And the people who are not fans of the current administration definitely feel like it's in even more of a time of crisis. And so if there is an artist that breaks out and brings people joy and brings people pleasure and gives them a break, then I say shut the hell up and let them enjoy it. And it's not like this engagement actually affects anyone, except for the people who get upset when Taylor Swift is shown on NFL broadcasts. And it does affect them because I'm sure she'll be shown even more now. And good. And I say that as a huge NFL fan. But if you're whining about that, you've got bigger issues. So I just wanted to comment on this quickly because watching the internet explode like it has over this is just insane. And if you are a Swiftie, congratulations. This is a huge deal for you. And I know that. And I'm genuinely excited that you have something to be excited about right now. And yes, I'm avoiding going into all of the weird conspiracies and the fact that there's a whole group of Swifties who secretly believe she's a lesbian who are now upset because she's marrying a man. But I mean, she's been dating guys her whole life. So whatever. We're avoiding all of that. And I'm just saying that if you're happy, cool. If you're not happy, though, maybe take a moment and look at yourself. And I'm not saying if you're, let me rephrase that. It's not if you're not happy, because maybe you just don't care. But if you are burdened by this, then maybe take a moment and look at yourself and ask yourself why, because something else has to be going on there. For me, I'm just happy that two people in love are engaged now. That's pretty cool. All right, let's move on to actual zoo news. And we'll start with our births for the week. So, okay, you know that the Smithsonian's National Zoo has a red panda cub because, again, we got to announce it, and then it was in the Washington Post. So, that's pretty cool. But that's not the only one I get to talk about this week, as our good friends at Zoo Knoxville have announced the birth of twins to mom Sisu. The cubs are around 3 months old and are about to make their public debut, though it's impossible to say exactly when that will happen because that's up to Sisu. It's been nearly 5 years since a panda cub was born at Zoo Knoxville, and more than a decade since a mother was successful at raising her kiddos there. So this is a huge win for the zoo and a huge opportunity for people around the Knoxville area to get to see cubs actually being raised by their mother. Sending love to Sarah Glass and the entire team at the zoo, which is known for being one of the best red panda facilities in the country. So it's about darn time they kicked out another little one. And then, okay, so this next one, it's going to sound like I'm repeating a story that I've said on here before, but I'm not. It's actually a new one. Our friends at Sedgwick County Zoo have welcomed a new elephant calf. This is actually their fourth one and their final one, for now anyway. It feels like a long time ago that we discussed the two calves that were there when I visited, and the third one recently made an appearance, and we talked about that, and now a fourth one has come along. And if you remember that episode, we knew that was coming, and all of them are thriving. In this case, the first-time mother, Zuberi, is doing a great job with the little one who is named Dakari, which means one who brings happiness in Swahili. 4 baby elephants at once seems like a lot for the keepers at the zoo, so I'm wishing them lots of luck on this journey. And if you want to see the birth, it was actually captured on camera, and the zoo has put that out on social media. As with most births, it's icky while also being, beautiful and bringing life into this world and all that great stuff. Blah, gross. But it is actually really cool to get to watch that. So I highly recommend that you do. The Central Park Zoo is celebrating the hatching of an emperor goose gosling. The bird was artificially incubated by the staff, and because of the amount of exercise goslings need, the staff keeps moving it between its indoor habitat and an enclosed exercise pen outside. This not only gets it the exercise it needs, but helps it acclimate to the outdoor temperatures it will be living in once it's old enough to be introduced to the outdoor aviary at the zoo. The Smithsonian's National Zoo has welcomed a baby red panda, but you already know that. But that's not what we're talking about here. Has welcomed a litter of 5 baby lesser tenrecs, also known as even lesser tenrecs. At least that's what I think the baby should be called, to the family. Parents Luke and Bun are the first tenrec parents to successfully reproduce at the zoo since 2017. When tenrecs are born, they are about the size of a peanut shell, but they grow quickly. Very early in life, they grow a lot. They actually will quadruple in size in the first month. Brevard Zoo is having an impala baby boom. 3 mothers have given birth so far this season, and more are coming in the upcoming weeks. The naming theme this year is condiments, and so far the first names out there are Italian dressing and miso. I look forward to seeing what additional adorable names pop out for the current and future little ones. And yeah, the fact that the first condiment name was Italian dressing, I don't know what's going on there, but I gotta admit, I kind of like it. Guests of Zoo Miami recently got quite the treat as they witnessed the birth of a baby banteng on exhibit. Mother Phyllis went into labor and decided not to go to her behind-the-scenes area, which she did have access to, but instead she put on a show for the visitors at the zoo. And that made the keepers a little nervous, just in case anything went wrong. But nothing went wrong, and the baby banteng was born. And bantengs are kind of like a cow type species if you don't know what they are. But yeah, just born in front of an audience. The life of a showgirl, indeed. And last but not least this week, Metro Richmond Zoo has welcomed 6 cheetah cubs to parents Zori and Ramses. There are 3 males named Lagos, Bukavu, and Cairo, and 3 females named Matola, Kampala, and Lusaka. This continues a trend of the Metro Richmond Zoo being incredible cheetah breeders, helping to preserve a species that has seen a 93% decline in the wild. It is really awesome to see a zoo so devoted to the conservation of the species and having such success in their breeding. I love it. Man, when it comes to cheetahs, they really poop them out there. And then that brings us to, of course, our deaths for the week. And we start with a really sad moment here. The red panda cub that was recently born at Potter Park Zoo has passed away unexpectedly. The cause of death is unknown, pending the results of a necropsy. Now, obviously, we know that red panda babies have a really rough start to life, with the species having around a 40% mortality rate. Still, that doesn't make it easier for the keepers who have been so excited about the young one. Sending all the love to the team at the Potter Park Zoo. The Kansas City Zoo and Aquarium recently said goodbye to Shikari, the 20-year-old male lion that called the facility home. He had been treated for a variety of health-related issues, but stopped responding to treatment, so the correct decision was made to euthanize him. Shikari was one of those animals that took a long time to warm up to things, and early on in his life, he presented a challenge to his keepers when it came to things like training, and he also was a bit of a challenge to his family of lions, as he often shied away from any leadership role in the pride. However, as he aged, Shikari really came into his own, becoming a great participant in training and also stepping into a leadership role in the pride. And getting to witness that evolution over the years was incredibly special for the keepers and guests of the zoo, which of course just makes him that much more missed. And that's not the only loss at Kansas City, as Tioni, a 29-year-old female chimpanzee, passed away from heart disease earlier this month. Tioni had been being treated for her heart disease for over a year, but also stopped responding to treatment. And during a knockdown to try to figure out what was going on and what the team could do, 2 masses were found on other organs. And the team realized it was time to say goodbye. She was a chimpanzee with a huge personality who was known for her intelligence and her embracing of enrichment. So it's just, so hard to see 2 losses at such an incredible zoo. Sending love to the teams. Newquay Zoo has said goodbye to Sean, the beloved 5-year-old South American tapir. In recent months, Sean had begun experiencing issues with colic that were impacting the quality of his life. Sean was born to parents Emily, who passed away in 2022, and Al Capone, who served as a mentor to Sean during his all-too-brief life, teaching him to embrace the gentle and curious personality that was shared by both father and son, despite one of them being named Al Capone. Speaking of his father, he is being closely monitored by his care team, but seems to be doing well overall. And then last but not least this week, Liz, a 7-year-old giraffe, passed away unexpectedly at the Topeka Zoo earlier this week. She had been born at the zoo, grew up there, and actually she went viral when her birth was witnessed live on YouTube. The hardest part of this story is that the zoo is currently unsure of what happened. She passed away at 10 p.m. on Saturday night, and until the necropsy is returned, it will be impossible to say what happened. I know that uncertainty is one of the hardest things to deal with when a beloved animal is lost. So again, just sending all my love to the team, both veterinary and care teams that took such amazing care of Liz. She passed too young, but at least she passed while being very, very loved. And then that brings us to the rest of our Zoo News stories this week. And I have to open this section by giving huge, huge, huge praise to Reid Park Zoo. The zoo closed on Thursday, August 28th, for Employee Wellness Day, which they described as a time for, quote, our hardworking staff to rest and recharge with relaxing activities. The zoo did point out, of course, that all the animals got their full care, as you would expect. But yeah, worrying about keeper welfare and being willing to close for a day to ensure that is so important. And I just really love that the zoo did this. And actually, let's keep giving shout outs. I'm always so amused when people I know from the not zoo world end up posting things about zoos or aquariums. And in this case, I thought the story was so cool, I asked to share it here on Zoo News. So I'm friends with this family, the King family. And they're one of those amazing families that just does so much for so many people. One of their big passions is adoption, and they've adopted many children over the years, including a special needs child named Victor, who could not be being raised in a more loving and patient family. Well, the Kings recently headed to Florida for a wedding, and while they were there, they got to visit Clearwater Aquarium as part of the aquarium's Inspire program, which is a program for individuals with special needs and their families. The family not only got to visit the aquarium for free, but got a private tour and got an up-close encounter with a dolphin, all for free. That's amazing. That is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, unless you start an animal podcast. Not only was the experience absolutely incredible for the family, but their tour guide, who was named Keith, was super kind and understanding of Victor's particular needs. I love so much that the aquarium does this, and it brought me such joy to see something like that pop up on my feed in a place where I wouldn't expect it to. And, you know, the cool thing is, I think when facilities do stuff like this, it's okay to talk about it and to advertise it and to you know, let people know that they're doing these good things. But I also think it's pretty special when they don't. And like, this was not something that the aquarium, you know, was like, ooh, we're doing this cool thing and we're awesome and look at us. I just happened to see the Kings talking about it because we're friends. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. And yeah, I find that really special. So, you know, all the props to Clearwater Marine Aquarium. And then this next story, I gotta say, this whole Zoo News section is really interesting this week. And this next one starts with a question. Can you be a child prodigy in zookeeping? And the answer is apparently maybe, leaning yes. That's why 6-year-old Max Evans Browning got to spend his summer working as Britain's youngest ever zookeeper at Chessington World of Adventures near London. He got to help with husbandry and care of the animals at the facility, helping to set him up for his eventual goal of becoming an adult zookeeper. It wasn't just a stunt either, as staff were impressed with his depth of knowledge and understanding of animals. And this isn't the first time this young man has made the news. He received a letter from Sir David Attenborough, his hero, this summer, when Max drew 99 animals for Sir David's 99th birthday. And that also made the news. So yeah, this kid is popping off in the zoo world at the age of 6. Wishing this dude, Max, the best of luck moving forward. And even more importantly, wishing him luck paying attention back in school after a summer of living his dreams. And Max, I'm saying it right now. When you're an adult and you're ready, I'll still be here and we'll get you on Rossifari, okay? And then last but not least in this section, we have some news about a former guest and great friend of the podcast. Chris Jenkins, host of the NEI Tech Talks podcast and COO of Natural Encounters Incorporated, has officially left his position at NEI to take on the role of executive director of the Virginia Zoo. I am so incredibly proud of Chris for taking on this role, and I'm so excited for the Virginia Zoo and what they are getting with this hire. But beyond that, I was incredibly touched that Chris told me that when the position became available, he listened to the episodes of Rossifari that we did at the zoo to get the vibe of the place. And, you know, that type of story keeps getting told to me time and again, and it was never something I thought of when I launched this podcast, but I'm so incredibly proud that I can have that impact. And, you know, clearly Chris liked what he heard. So good luck, Chris. And hey, get ready to be interviewed once you've been at your position for a while. I already reached out to Emily Smicker, who does the PR there, and we're gonna have to chat, my friend.
Conservation, news time. Oh yeah.
All right, so this first story is a doozy. South African authorities have dismantled a massive rhino horn trafficking network, and the people at the top are more than a little surprising. It seems that people who were posing as rhino conservationists were actually trafficking horns to the tune of 964 individual horns that brought in around $14 million. One of the suspects is John Hume, who bred an estimated 2,000 white rhinos in his role as a conservationist, which is nearly 1/8 of the world's remaining population of the species. Now, I would like to pause this very serious conversation to point out that he is a John with an H in his name, proving that Johns without an H, like me, are the superior species. Anyway, Hume has denied the allegations and said that he is fully cooperating with the investigation and that he expects to be exonerated fully. Meanwhile, prosecutors are actually still weighing additional charges for John and the other 5 suspects. Obviously, innocent until proven guilty and all that jazz, but it looks like the case is a very strong one. And I'm not going to lie. I mean, obviously, if the dude did it, I hope it is, and I hope he, you know, gets all of the punishment. But I really hope that this is a misunderstanding. I really hope that they screwed up the investigation or something, because, man, the idea of a conservationist betraying the very species he worked so hard to save isn't just disturbing to me, but, like, it genuinely hurts my soul, right? When somebody does something like that, it either means that they were posing the whole time, or it means that they got sucked into the wrong side of the right thing they were doing. Either way, totally sucky story, and it breaks my heart. And it goes into, like, a really interesting conversation, which I'm not going to get into now, but, like, people always talk about, you know, oh, can you love the art and hate the artist and all that kind of thing. And, you know, there's the debate about Harry Potter and should you scorn those books and get rid of your childhood forever because the author is transphobic and all of that stuff. Or should you, you know, be someone who supports that community and also supports the books and shows that they're not about that. I don't know. It's a whole thing, you know? And so, yeah, what about these 2,000 rhinos? I mean, they're necessary. The conservation work done to breed them was wildly important. So it's just one of those interesting things where, like, you can't look at those rhinos and be like, well, you guys shouldn't be here, even if, the person who bred them is apparently also an a-hole. It's an interesting lens to look at things through. Moving on from that, although there has been a lot of good news on the sea turtle conservation front lately, the Turtle Hospital on the Florida Keys has released an unfortunate figure. On one night, 69 sea turtles were found disoriented due to artificial light, which led to them helping reorient 287 turtles in just 1 week. Now, Florida actually does a great job communicating the need to turn off artificial lighting at night during sea turtle nesting season, but some communities are clearly not getting the message. So this is just such an important reminder that, again, while there's been a lot of really positive strides in sea turtle conservation, people still need to do better on the individual level to help save this incredible animal. Okay, so let's get to some good news. Got to break those sad vibes. Sea star wasting disease is it's a disease that affects more than 20 species of sea stars on the west coast of North America, and which has killed more than 5 billion sunflower sea stars. Okay, that's not the good news. But the good news is that the mysterious disease has been coming from an unidentifiable cause until now. The bacterium responsible has been found. Vibrio pectendicida, which I thought was a spell from Harry Potter when I first read it, is the bacterium in question, and this discovery will greatly help recovery efforts for the sea stars being affected by the disease and for the recovery of the kelp forests that have been impacted by their loss. This disease has been raging since 2013, so it is a huge deal that this has been identified, and apparently the scientists who identified it literally had a party. They were so excited. So I love that. And you know how it seems like we have a discussion about how new technology has helped rediscover a species or something like that, like every week in this section, right? This story is the opposite of that. But okay, that's not actually true. The opposite of that would be if new technology made a species go extinct, like if AI suddenly attacked and destroyed all of the koalas or something. But I digress. For years, conservationists have suspected that a population of Sumatran rhinos live in the Waikambas National Park, despite the population there being believed to be extinct for quite some time from most scientists. The scientists who believed in this group of rhinos have tried all the latest technology to find evidence of the animals, including camera traps, drones, all the things we talk about. They've even sent in rangers with no success. But now, evidence of this population has been found, and it was found by some of the oldest technology out there. Noses. 2 specially trained sniffer dogs named Yagi and Quinn found several specimens of rhino scat in just 2 days of searching. And again, that's literally after years of searching, trying these other new methods. This is a huge win for the park and for our friends at the International Rhino Foundation, but most importantly, it proves that Yagi and Quinn are such good dogs. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. All right, and then last but not least in this section, dholes, speaking of dogs, are super cool and are super rare in zoos in North America. However, if you've had the chance to see them somewhere like the Bronx Zoo or the Wilds, you can enter the Dhole Photo Contest sponsored by the Dhole Conservation Fund. The contest runs through October 1st, with winners announced 2 weeks later. Photos from the wild or from facilities are both welcome. Photos will be featured in a wall calendar as well as on the website and social media pages of the Dhole Conservation Fund. So check out the Dhole Conservation Fund for more information. Oh, and hey, if we're like friends beyond you just listening to me, remind me. I have really good pictures of dholes and I'm absolutely going to forget to enter them. So remind me when you hear this. Thanks.
It's time for other news. It's time for other news. Hey, now, right now, it's time. It's time for other news. Hey, it's a segue to the part called other news.
A bright orange shark was recently discovered in the waters off Costa Rica. This is the only one of its kind found so far, and the coloration is caused by something called xanthism, a condition that is incredibly rare in sharks. Basically, the condition causes a loss of pigmentation, similar to the vitiligo that I have, but in this case, it only causes the loss of the darker pigments in the skin, meaning that a yellow or orange color comes through more strongly, which is why the shark looks like this. There are pictures online, and it's really cool to see a bright orange shark, so check it out. And then, speaking of orange sharks, I need to take a moment to give a shout out to my friend and a huge supporter of the podcast, Matt Patford, also affectionately known here as Matty Pats. And no, this has nothing to do with orange sharks. I just love doing that as a transition when it doesn't make sense. Anyway, Matt works with dogs in a variety of ways, many of which are very, very cool, and he helps a lot of people along the way. However, the new task he is taking on is particularly cool, and I want to share it with y'all. Matt is now part of a prison program, and no, not because he got arrested like most of you think, but it involves placing 4 dogs at a time into a women's prison for 4 weeks so that some of the inmates can work with them and train them. Sometimes they even help to just build the confidence in more timid dogs over this time period. So basically, like once every 2 weeks, Matt will be going to the prison to teach these inmates new skills and to check on the dogs and swap them out as needed, the dogs, not the people, and stuff like that. And this is just such a great opportunity for the dogs to get special treatment, but most of all, it's hugely important and uplifting to the inmates who not only get to learn new skills, but get to spend time with dogs. Oh, it's better than spending time with dogs, seriously. So, congrats, Matt. I'm proud of you. Now listen, this next part is important, everybody. Nobody tell my wife about this program, or she will end up traveling to Australia just to get arrested.
Animal, animal, animal holidays. Animal, animal, animal holidays.
It is August, which is Asian Elephant Awareness Month, National Catfish Month, National Parks Month, and August is for Antelope Month. And the only remaining animal holiday this month is the 30th, which is International Whale Shark Day. Then September is Save the Tiger Month and Save the Koala Month. Unless AI kills them all. Anyway, and then the 1st is International Primate Day and National Wildlife Day. And those are your animal holidays for the week. All right, so there you have it, folks. Another episode of Rossifari Zoo News. This one recorded entirely in my dressing room between Neil Diamond shows. So, that's exciting, and I'm grateful that nobody barged in because I didn't tell anyone I was going to be doing this, so that makes life easier. I want to take a moment to say thank you to my patrons, especially my Red Panda level patrons, including Dr. Laura Schenk, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, who is also here for stickers, Kevin Williams, and Cormac McMuffin. Meow. And then I'd like to thank everyone who contributed to this week's episode, including Anya Keene, Colleen Linehan, Kim Cooley-Croninger, Carrie Kirkpatrick, Kevin Williams, Emily Rockbuck, Anna McEachran, Miles Rossi, Lizard Dunleavy, Maddie Pats, Ken Tryon, Dr. Laura Schenk, Holly Page, who I had a wonderful discussion with about whether or not the red panda cubs born in Ireland that I mentioned last week might have Irish accents. It's a great mental image, at least for me. Crystal Chapman, Ali Malensky, Kay Malensky, Dr. Natalie Taco, Amanda Berg, Sam Evans, Dr. Zoe Rossi, Jay Meredith, Ann Yoshioka, Marianne Rossi, Barbara Bennett, Melissa Reed, Michaela Baretka, JC Becerra, Becca Robinson, Stephanie Hare, Chris Infield, and Justin Williams. Thank you all so much for contributing to this week's episode. I will be back on Tuesday with a brand new interview episode, and we'll be here in 1 week for a brand new Zoo News episode. But until then, remember, friends, the words newsy credits backwards are Steiderk Yiswen.
The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.
Taking on this role, and I'm so excited for damn it, I made it so far.